all of those Black Lives Matter protests, lots of people taking to the streets, but what really happened next? Some say not enough, others say too much. And now there is talk of what is called diversity fatigue. Joining us now to talk about it is a diversity expert, Dr. Omékongo Dibinga. And Dr. Dibinga, thanks for being with us. And let me just put it this way. That didn't take long. So now we're talking about diversity fatigue, even before we actually dealt with diversity issues?
It's amazing, and thanks for having me. And one of the challenges, and many of us in this field knew it was going to happen, was that people in America have short attention spans. And when we saw what happened with George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, we have to realize that one of the challenges was during the COVID quarantine, a lot of people were at home. Everybody had to kind of see it. They had no choice. They couldn't go anywhere. But now people are getting back to living their lives. They're out more. They're doing things. And it's kind of like that popular Jay-Z song, "We're on to the next one." And I think that's part of the reason why we're seeing that fatigue right now.
Dr. Dibinga, last year, companies rushed out to get diversity experts. But if the people hiring the experts are the same people who led their companies without diversity, will anything change?
No, it definitely will not change. And one of the things we have to also look at is the real power that many people who get hired as these directors of diversity and inclusion, what power do they actually have? Are they at the leadership table? In many instances, unfortunately, they're disempowered. They may do some surveys, provide some statistics, but they have no real power in leading the change. So unfortunately, in many of these instances, these hirings that were happening, they were just a front. And so that people could celebrate them online, or they got this person, that person, but they were not given real decision-making power. They were not at the leadership table. They were not engaged with the board of directors. And so in many cases, like you said, the people who kind of didn't really care about it before were kind of just making these hires as a front to show that they were about something, knowing that this would eventually blow over as it relates to the fatigue.
Dr. Dibinga, back when I was in grade school with Abraham Lincoln, America was divided along lines of black and white, but diversity nowadays is a lot more complex than that. And it's a lot more than the color of a person's skin. So what do you believe are the key elements, the themes, to avoiding diversity fatigue on a number of levels?
Well, one of the things we have to do, and when I'm working with companies and schools, we talk about this all of the time. One of the things you have to do is you have to get to a full understanding of what diversity is. Unfortunately, most people just think about diversity as relates to race and gender. But like you said, there are so many issues now. There's religion that's in play. There's physical ability that's in play. There's class. There's region of the country that you come from. There's age. There are all different types of diversity. And so we have to make sure we're making room for diversity of thought. And once people realize that who they are is also incorporated in the diversity experiences that are happening, I believe that they will be more willing to contribute. But as long as companies put themselves in positions where, well, now we're just going to talk about this group or that group, it's going to be an automatic turnoff for people, and they're not going to be successful in their efforts.
Dr. Dibinga, I'm old enough to remember this thing called affirmative action and the backlash that came in the 80s and President Ronald Reagan. Are we going to be looking at that again in 2022?
We're already looking at it. We are seeing it absolutely. Right now, we have all of these trigger words. You say Black Lives Matter and people are getting upset. Now people are throwing out things like woke supremacy and so on and so forth. And unfortunately, we never even understood the fact that affirmative action benefited white women more than anybody else. But affirmative action became that trigger word. And again, affirmative action was never a law. It was policy, right? And so we're asking for companies to look at their policies, look at the people who are at the table, look at who's empowered, who's disempowered. And yes, we are already seeing that within those companies. And as soon as people from the outside get word of what these companies are doing, like Coca-Cola and the like, they're descending on them as well. So we are already in the throes before we even get to 2022.
Dr. Omékongo Dibinga, Dr. Dibinga for us in Washington, thank you very much.